I have 6 o'clock. We'll call this meeting of the steering committee into session. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out on this cool night tonight. I'm glad we didn't have to deal with quite the slick roads and things that we had the last few days and are looking like we're going to have toward the end of the week. Not sure about Thursday. It's looking kind of rough right now at the weather forecast. Trust everyone had a happy holiday break. We got much county business that's kind of accumulated over the last few weeks and coming at us, so we'll try to get started on everything. First item tonight would be to review the minutes from the November 9th meeting. Mr. Ford.
On the third page, on the Veteran Services Office, go down about the middle of the page, where it says that I said personally, I feel we are doing an inconvenience to keep our people at home. That first to keep people at home is wrong. Then it comes back and says, feel like we need to keep it home. That is correct. What I said was, I think we're doing an inconvenience to send our Trouser counties to Gallup. That's saying the same thing twice. That ain't what I said.
Or not to keep them at home, yeah.
Or, then he comes right back and says what I actually said that we need to keep them at home. But that first, that last part of that sentence right there is wrong.
What should it be?
Well, I don't know exactly how you want to say it, but the way I read it, I feel we're doing an inconvenience sending our Trouser counties to Gallatin.
So you feel that you're doing an inconvenience to send Trouser county out?
Yes.
Yes. The next part of it's right. I feel we need to keep them at home. That was it. I don't know what was wrong. That's what we want to read. I read it all. That's all I saw. You looked at it, maybe I'll make a motion to approve that amendment. Second.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Ford and a second by Mr. Harsh to approve the minutes with one change on page 3, where it says, personally, I feel we're doing an inconvenience to keep here at home. Should read, personally, I feel we're doing an inconvenience to send residents out of county. Or, okay. Okay, to send residents to Gallatin. What about sending them to Lebanon? Okay. Okay, so it would be corrected to say, personally, I feel we're doing an inconvenience to send residents to Gallatin.
That's what we're doing.
Okay, okay. Just want to make sure that we have the wording correct.
We talked about it.
Trousville County residents to Gallatin. Thank you. Are there any other corrections? Okay, we do have a motion and a second, including the correction. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved for that one correction. Ms. Atwood, if you and Amy can take care of correcting the permanent on that, I'd appreciate it. We have several items to review tonight that came over from the mayor's office. The first thing is Resolution 2022-01745. This is a resolution setting the date for the wheel tax to sunset. After conversations with Mr. Beller and the mayor, they felt like we needed to state an ending date and, more importantly, state what was to be done with any remaining funds. That is the main purpose of this amendment, is to say that if there are any funds, shouldn't be significant, it would only be a few $100s or so, 1,000, whatever, that they would be applied toward additional education debt service. So that's what this does. Right now, the wheel tax will, as far as when the way the resolution was written, that it would cease on the 20th year anniversary date of the initial payment, which would be in May of this. So that we need to, even though it ends, we need to set that date because it wasn't specified. So this is to set that ending date is May 31st, 2022. It also, any remaining funds within the Education Capital Outlay Reserve Fund after the final payment of the 2002 high school capital outlay note would be applied to the debt incurred by the Jim Satterfield Middle School roof project of 2021. So that's the purpose. This has a dual purpose. Don't see that it really needs to go to any committees for consideration. I think it just needs to move full body. Mr. Ford. We looked at it. It's on a variable rate, so it's hard to know to the penny, but as soon as Amy gets back in here, we'll try to ask her.
I having issues with meeting everything there.
She's working on the stream.
We do feel like there was some major.
There's a little, yeah. We knew there was. My understanding right now, it's going to be really close. Yeah. Amy, the question is, what do we think is going to be? I know we had some discussions in time past that we might actually be a little short on that fund and that we might have to add some money into it. Do you have any estimation as to what that amount's going to be or not be?
Actually, I believe we're going to be quite a bit over in that fund. I think the last time I calculated, it was going to be in the 20,000s.
About 20,000, possibly as much as 20,000. I think being the variable interest rate has, and we never know how much is coming in on the wheel tax. I think we were running behind for a while, and that's kind of caught up in, yes. Yeah, so I think we're not going to know an exact figure till then, but
I think it was about 330,000 in November. If you come in at the same average rate, you'll get to 350 though.
Yes, sir.
There'll be some extra there.
Well,
That next one costs us to close it out.
I think the thing is that as long as we use these funds, these excess funds for educational capital outlay projects, that there shouldn't be any question in doing that by the comptroller's office or the public. So that's what this resolution does. We'll move it to the full body. If you have more questions, just reach out to us and we'll try to.
Will it be paid directly against it or just go in the fund?
It's in the fund now, so whatever's left in that fund would move to capital outlay to the middle school roof project, is what this is saying.
Will it be paid on it or we just put it in? There's a difference. You just put it in it, it's going to.
Well, it would be applied to the note in its totality.
It's going to lay there next year when the note comes due. This year when it comes due.
Can we not pay it? We can pay excess on these notes, can we not? At any time we so desire. So to close that out, we would need to go ahead and whatever that balance is, go ahead and pay it toward this note, other note. That's what we're, yes, that's what we're talking about.
I do ask for recording purposes to please use your microphones. that might also be why the minutes were off last
Yeah,
month
thank
as
you.
well.
I do believe, Mr. Ford, that what you're asking is what is intended.
Good.
Okay, any other questions on this one? If you have questions or you think there's a better solution to this, shoot. I mean, we've looked at it and this seemed to be the best way to end this. And so that's what that one is.
Minutes to reflect. I just like the minutes to reflect that whatever's left over, we pay it directly against that bill. And that way the county get a little benefit out of it.
The resolution itself says that the note would be applied to the debt. So I don't know how we can state it any clearer than that. I think that's going to take care of what you want to do, Mr. Ford.
I hope it does.
Mr. Ford, are you wanting to amend that resolution to say that it's paid directly to that, or is it stating it well enough with inside it?
Well, he's saying that's what's gonna happen anyway.
I mean, other than adding the word immediately applied, I don't know how else.
Otherwise, I was just going to say, make a motion that we send it to the full body.
Okay. Do you have a motion to send it to full body? I have a second by Mr. Harsh. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay. We'll send it on. Okay. Next, Amy, you may have to help me with explaining this one. We'd had discussions in the past. The mayor has brought this to us on a couple of occasions, asking for assistance from GNRC on the American Rescue Plan funds. It's a pretty involved process with these grants that are coming down the pike. We know it's one of those that instead of applying for it and getting permission to do it, you do it and then they tell you if it's okay. And if it's not okay, you get to pay the money back. So it's kind of a backwards approach to what we typically have to deal with. But GNRC has, mayor's reached out to them for assistance in trying to make sure that we meet the guidelines of this program so that we don't get caught in that situation. We do have a contract here from GNRC to handle these professional services between us and them. As you can see on page 2, there are fees involved with it. I'm not sure I understand exactly how all these fees will be figured. A lot of them are flat fees, and they try to explain what they will entail. There are some variable fees, particularly on the project management side of it, as you can see there in those bracketed boxes. I understand the, I guess you'd say, need for more experienced eyes on these things to make sure we're in compliance before we do something wrong. I'm not sure that we necessarily need to. I think we have other bodies that can help us with this as well, CTAS and probably the comptroller's office has been hand in hand with us, trying to give us updates on what information they've gleaned from the feds in times past. One thing, I guess my big question, there is no guarantee on their part that if this does not come back approved, that they're going to bear the burden of that. Is that correct?
That is correct. They will not have any fault on this. I will like to say that the comptroller will not do the reports. They will not do the research that we would like for GNRC to do for us. This is going to take a lot off of me, to be selfish, and of the mayor. The staff at GNRC will, make sure that they're deciphering the regulations correctly, make sure our projects, our ideas are falling in line with the rules, and really just do a lot of that footwork to where it's not just landing on my desk or the mayor's.
I understand.
Says in the open statements, if they're sure, and GNRC will support local government staff and conduct these reports prior to the established deadline.
Turn your mic on. Mr. Ford, Mr. Ford, turn your mic on, please.
At first paragraph under task 5, if you look at the second sentence, this will ensure the community is meeting the U.S. Department of Treasury guidelines and requirements throughout the ARPA reporting term.
That's the reporting part of the grants. That's not necessarily the project approval. We have reporting that we have to do once a year and once a quarter, I believe.
Mr. Jewell, this would be required on any project we choose to go through. Is that correct? Out of this money? So at a minimum, we're looking at $10,000 is going to GNRC just to get started. If I'm figuring up those flat fees, and the lowest cost is $2,700 on a non-construction, 30 to 50 hours. So at a minimum, we're looking at $10,000 on any project that we start with just through GNRC, if I'm reading that correctly.
Now, that's also if we choose to have them manage the project. We can choose a project and manage it ourselves. Now, as far as, the justification part, that's separate. Reporting on it, that's separate. We can oversee the construction project ourselves if we so choose to do that. So this is more on the administrative side of the grant programs.
Okay, so this would be on the administrative, no matter what, we're gonna pay 10 grand on it. Then the rest of it, we're gonna be looking at fees for engineering firms, fees for, it was 20 grand for the park. I think engineering fees were originally for when we did that park layout. So what I'm getting at here, they're just doing the paperwork for $10,000 at a minimum.
Also on your fee schedule on page 2, under A3, project work planning, $750 flat fee. Project prioritization, in other words, telling them which ones they would suggest, that's $5. Project justification, whatever the hell that is, $500. Project management, that's where the big variable comes in. It says $9,000 to $50,000. I mean, okay, we've got a $100,000 light project at the park that we want to try to do, or the $1 million project on this building that we've already went through all the hoops and know pretty sure that it can be approved. Are they going to come back and charge us $20,000 for looking at our $1 million project that we've already looked at? I guess that's the questions that I have with it. I'm not against it. I don't want to sound like I'm against it. I'm not trying to sway your thoughts on it as much as making sure that we understand exactly what it is and what the total ramifications. so many times with these things, much like we saw with our streetscapes project, they tend to never end, and all the little bills add up to much, much, much more money than we ever anticipated or thought we were approving, and certainly trying to keep us from getting that situation again. I'm sure that their help would be valuable. I can't place a value on it. They've placed a value on it. It's our decision whether we see the value in that amount that they've placed on it.
I also want to say that these fees would come out of the grants, not out of general or urban. The American Rescue Plan would cover the administrative grants. Just making sure that that's there.
I certainly understand that, but certainly every penny that comes out of the grant that goes to them is monies that don't go to projects that we so sorely need. I cannot believe that every county in the state of Tennessee and every county and municipality across this great country of ours are dealing with these very same issues. And I'm just to feel like all they're going to do is look at the information we're getting and regurgitate it, which maybe that's what we need. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of money, but maybe it's worthwhile. That's for all of us to decide, I guess.
Only time will tell that.
This is true. I think I would feel more comfortable with it if there was a guarantee from them that said, like so many things that we have like this, that if we say this will be approved and it's not, we'll eat the cost, much like what we're dealing with now with insurance and things. You know, it's on their nickel if they screw it up. Right now, they get paid, and if they screw it up, oh, sorry. And I just, I got a problem with that. Yes, sir.
I feel a lot the same way. Looks to me like what they're doing is covering their tracks at our expense. That's what I see in it.
I appreciate that sentiment. I think they're trying to help us. I really think their motives are well-intentioned, that they're trying to help us. I don't think there's anything here under the table, underhanded, but there is a cost involved. We need to weigh whether we feel like the cost will justify what we get out of it. Okay. And I know that the mayor is concerned and is cautious, as he should be, with these funds, and trying to make sure that the projects we do are done correctly. And I know there's going to be a tremendous amount of paperwork involved with any and all of these. So there again, we weigh what the cost is versus what we get out of it. Any other questions on it? It's pretty lengthy. If you haven't had a chance to really read through it, I would suggest that you do. You probably will have far more many questions than I have with it, because I've been somewhat familiar with the process from the get-go on it, and I very much see the need. I was very much surprised at the cost. Maybe I shouldn't be. Amy, do you have anything else you'd like to add to this, or did we cover it?
I'm sure the mayor will probably send an email out to explain more on his side of things. I really don't have anything else to add personally. I haven't been involved in many of the conversations concerning this either.
I think it's the mayor's wishes for us to go ahead and take this up at this month's meeting. I really don't know what committee other than possibly budget and finance? Is this supposed to go to budget and finance directly to the body? What was his wishes?
I think it can go to budget and finance since there is a price tag attached to it.
What's y'all's thoughts, Mr. Ford?
I'm looking at item number 5 down there, and there's $1,000 flat fee applied to any project, to every project. And then the one right above it, I don't understand that either. Non-construction, 2,700 to 6,000, 30 to 60 hours. Well, they're charging rate of $90 an hour. Construction from 100 to 500 could be 9 to 50,000. That's what they're telling us they're going to charge. I don't know what they'll charge. I guess it'll depend on the project.
Well, I think if you had 10 projects and they were handling the reporting on those projects, that would be $10,000.
That's $10,000 before they do anything.
It says to include approximately 10 hours. It doesn't say if it goes over 10 hours.
So you can be charged $90 an hour, then what you'll be charged.
So there again, there's, I'm not real sure I understand all of the breakdown and when it would kick in. Mr. Harsh?
Move to send to budget and finance where it can be further considered.
I second that. That's what I was gonna do. Maybe we'll have more information by then.
Do have a motion by Mr. Harsh to send this on to budget and finance for their recommendations. And a second by Mr. Ford. Is there further discussion? Mr. Gully? Did you have anything else, Mr. Gully? Okay, sorry. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Well, I'm
I
sorry.
won't say aye to it, but I'm hoping by then we got more than this to deal with.
I was gonna ask one piece, when I came up with that $10,000 earlier, if you add the flat fees up, you're at $7,250. Those are flat fees, no matter what project you do. That's what that is on all the flats up front. And the minimum is $2,700 that you could pay in that range. So at a minimum, we're looking at $10,000. I realize that's $9,950, but pretty much $10,000. If we want to look at the numbers there, that's what I was getting at earlier. Any project we do just for paperwork, making sure I understand that, we're looking at just paperwork coverage of $10,000. That's literally what we're talking about doing right here.
I understand. Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Okay, let's try this again. All in favor of it going to budget and finance, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move this to budget and finance. Y'all, we're gonna need some help with this. This is a complicated document. Please look it over and be ready to take it up at budget and finance. If you have questions about it, please reach out to the mayor. I'm sure he'd be glad to talk with you. He's worked very, very hard on trying to put this together for us. Okay, next, as we all know, we have 5th District Commissioner resignation. Mr. Dickey resigned back in November, I think a day or 2 days after our last meeting. He's moved out of county or is moving. I'm not sure whether he has moved. I'm pretty sure he has moved, but that was the reason for his resignation. I've had a lot of people question the why. My understanding is that he has moved. We have advertised the position. We may have saw it in the paper. We've tried to make it known in every way that we can. Certainly have not had people beating the doors down for it. Of course, we just went through it in the same district a few months back. So if you know of someone, please talk to them, encourage them to reach out to myself or the mayor, and we will, if we have someone, we'll try to take it up at the meeting this month. We're going to have a pretty big agenda, I think, anyway, from not meeting last month, but certainly if we have some names, it's been out there long enough that I think we could take it up this month. That's my intentions. Any thoughts? Anybody want to jump in on this? Please feel free to. I think that gives us enough time to try to get some names together. Okay. All right. Appreciate Mr. Dickey. I hope he can be at that meeting so that we can recognize him for his service and thank him in a public way. Certainly if he's not, we'd like to thank him tonight. If you have an opportunity, please reach out to him and do that if you feel so inclined. Next, engineering service RFQ for Criminal Justice Center. This came forward from the Law Enforcement Committee. They did recommend that the mayor go ahead and do an RFQ, request for qualifications for an engineering firm and or architectural firm to deal with plans for a new jail and or criminal justice center. This is not funding it. This is just laying the groundwork. So we have someone trying to put this together for us. So we have some full accurate numbers to try to look at. Okay, so this came forward to law enforcement. I don't see that it needs to go anywhere else. What's your thoughts on this one? Any questions on it? Mr. Harsh?
Should it also come before the building committee this month, since we have a meeting planned? I know other considerations for the Criminal Justice Center have been brought before us.
I think the buildings committee would absolutely be involved with this. I think certainly any plans or once, you know, there are selections, I'd have to go back and see what the exact motion from law enforcement was. It certainly can go to the buildings committee. It is not the building, it's buildings, plural, committee, and their oversight is over the buildings and any new buildings or property in the county is the purvey of that department or that committee, I'm sorry. Certainly as chairman of that committee, if you feel like your committee needs to take a look at it, I would entertain that as a motion.
I move to put it in the form of a motion.
Okay, go.
Also,
Okay, we do have a motion and a second to move this on to the buildings committee for them to take a look at it and give us recommendation on it as well. Any discussion? Mr. Gully?
Just making sure here, this is a request for qualifications for an engineering service, just pretty much to what I would assume to be initial plant, site development type plans. Is that what we're looking at right here?
Right. We had the study, which everyone has been, I think, made available to everyone, that their recommendations is to size needs, things of that nature, engineering firm to be able to do that. So this was the next step in that process is what this was for.
So this would give us a site development. Hey, this site needs to be X amount of acres. Here's what you need your plan to be. That's what this engineering firm would be looking to do right now.
No, this would be sending out basically a request that we are in the process of thinking about building a jail criminal justice complex would you like to be the architect or the engineer of record? Am I getting that correctly? I think that's the simple way of putting it. They're not giving us plans. They're not coming in with plans. We're trying to, since we do not have an engineering firm of record, that's one thing that we've talked about doing that we have not been able to do as of yet. If we had an engineering firm that was the engineering firm of the county, then they would be doing this automatically. But since we don't have that, we've typically went out for request anytime we need professional services of this nature. So this is taking the next step, basically authorizing the mayor to put together this proposal and to send it out and get back from people that would like to be involved with it on a formal basis. And we've had a lot of people, a lot of firms reach out to us on an informal basis, but we need to have something on a formal written basis. Any questions? Any further questions?
This is just to get somebody. Basically, the way I'm reading it here.
Yes, this is to hire a firm, an
Right.
architectural engineering firm
Right.
to, this is not bids for the project. This
No.
is nothing like this. This is just for someone to take what we need and put together some options, for lack of a better way. But we do have a motion on the floor and a second to send it on to building committee for them to take a quick look at. Okay, that is our motion. Yes, sir, Mr. Nolan.
Ain't the mayor have 2 or 3 people that meet and decide on by the engineering groups? Don't they have like, I think maybe Steve Burr's on it, and some others?
Right now, the professional selections committee would make a final decision on who, which firm we would go with once we got these RFQs back in.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is the mayor, myself, and one person of his choosing. I think he's named Mr. Burrow at this point. Yeah. Okay. Motion is to send it to building committee. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll send this one on over to building committee. Mr. Harsh, you think you'll be able to take that one up?
Yeah, we'll put it on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, next we have personnel policy amendments from the personnel committee. I know personnel committee spent a lot of time on this, has went over this quite a bit. I think it was approved. Everything was agreed upon except the wage study and salary benefits. My understanding, and I may be remembering wrong, was that that part of it needed to go to the Budget and Finance Committee. And once we had their recommendations, we were going to look at it as a total package. I think, I mean, that's my remembrances. That I did, Mr. Ferguson did call me today and say he wasn't going to be able to be here tonight. Specifically asked him about it, and that was his understanding, that it was going to go to Budget and Finance and then be presented to the full commission in its entirety or its totality. Did anybody have any other remembrances of that, or? I mean, I think we certainly could take up the part of it that is in question. I know that we want to try to have this in place as quickly as possible, particularly the financial side of it, because we're going to be going into budget pretty quickly, and we need to know what these things are going to be. But I think we were being prepared to take this up this month in Budget and Finance, to at least start the discussions on it. At least that was my intention. Amy, do you know whether he was planning on all of it or just the part of it that had been approved? Or do you have any idea of what his
I
thinking
believe
was?
I believe you are correct that the total package was going to go to commission. He was just wanting me to state what has been moved as far as from out of committees.
Okay, so this part of it did come out of personnel. The rest of it would have to go to budget and finance before we take it up before the full body. At least that's the intention, I think, on all our parts.
I may be incorrect, but have we got this amendments that have we had those sent to us?
Sir,
The amendments right here that we're discussing. You said there were some amendments that came out of personnel. Have we had those sent to us?
I don't think everybody's been sent that yet, because I didn't think it was ready to be presented to the full body. We went through the existing personnel line by line, literally, over 5 meetings. I think it was 4 or 5 meetings, and finally got to something that seemed reasonable and agreeable. And the only thing that there are a lot of parts that refer to what might be done with the wage study and how we're going to structure COLAs and things of that nature, that felt like that was outside the purview of the personnel committee, and was more on the financial side and needed to go before budget finance. So I think the wording, with the exception to where it might pertain to some of those financial aspects, has been agreed upon, at least by committee. Now, certainly it's up to the full body to approve it or not approve it. But that's where we're at in this process.
Be helpful to have a motion to move the financial aspects, budget, finance.
I think it probably wouldn't, it would be in order, I believe.
So moved.
I believe it's already there.
Mr. Jewell,
It's already there.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
if I read the email right, we're supposed to take that up this month because it has a special meeting of budget and finance on a different night.
We, like I say, I know the budget and finance is already dealing with it, so I think it's already been, that's already been done. So I don't think, but it probably wouldn't hurt to go ahead and have that motion just so that it's, all the bases are covered and we know that it has been formally sent there. So we do have a motion to send it on to budget and finance. For sure, take a look at it. Mr. Gully, would you like to make a second? Okay, I'm sorry, I thought that's what you were hedging for. Okay.
I thought we had already moved it to budget and finance. We had said that was going to go through budget and finance when it was ready and coming out of personnel is all I was thinking.
I thought we had 2. I don't remember for sure. Ms. Atwood, do you recall, or do you have it anywhere in any of your minutes? It's not going to hurt to have another one. No, I think just to be safe, let's go ahead and do it so everybody knows what we're doing and why we're doing it. Okay, we do have a motion by Mr. Harsh and a second by Mr. Gully to take this on to budget and finance as scheduled. Okay. Any questions on it? When y'all get to this, when we get to this in budget and finance, certainly when we get to this in the full commission, this is very complicated. Y'all need to spend some time on this, please. And there are a lot of directions we can go. There's a lot of nuances in this that need to be worked out. And this is something that certainly makes a lot of difference to our employees and our ability to get them and retain them. and be fair to them, but also be fair to the taxpayers as well. And it's something that will go forward for many years. So it's probably, everything we do is important, but I can't think of anything that probably has any more importance or far-reaching than this does. So let's get it right, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Take your time with it. All in favor of the motion to send it on? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Mr. Ford, you recognize.
I just gonna say there may be some of that the commission don't want to pass.
Yeah.
Might be some parts of it that they don't agree with.
That probably will be the case, but we have to take it through the process and get it to that point, and then we can deal with it. I think the last thing that we have, or that I have, is we had an ordinance to set waste collection fees on trash services. This came to us from the Solid Waste Committee. They approved this to be sent forward to the full body on November the 4th. That's why there was an ordinance prepared for it. I'm not sure exactly without the old one what the rates were, what changed. I know that I think for sure on the roll-off dumpsters, that $45 a ton additional has never been there. Am I correct in that? Did everything across the board increase?
Most of it is, if I can't hardly remember everything, but yeah, the boxes are going up. We're not making we're losing money anyway, but this will help make up a little bit of the difference. And also that we charge a little bit more for the tonnage
Okay,
that we have. So the box, and also I believe if a person's trash can is destroyed, then they have to pay for another one. I think that was in there. I can't remember.
well, that's not in this ordinance. That would be in your, I guess,
But I can't, like I said, it's been since November and I don't remember everything.
what is our current residential fee?
So the urban services door to door, that was set back in 2017. Those have not changed.
Okay,
What the main purpose of this ordinance is one, to the roll-off dumpster fees, of course, and then
Okay.
also to change the code, the Title 17 code,
Yeah.
to reflect what the prices are.
okay, so
currently.
none of the door-to-door fees are increased?
Correct.
Okay. Just the roll-off dumpsters, what were they currently?
I want to say it was $300 for 2 weeks, but I am not sure.
The main thing is adding that $45 a ton to it, to try to keep them from, the people that rent these from dumping concrete blocks and rocks and dirt in them. There really doesn't need to be. Hopefully that would help with some of that. That's the main thing here.
Also, the Title 17 is kind of a big thing. Get that out. Is that on there?
Okay, yes, it just says that Title 17 trash services must reflect current rates as required by the public. Can you explain what that means? I can't.
It's the municipal code that the mayor's been trying to update.
Pardon me,
It's
Amy?
the municipal code that the mayor's been trying to update.
Okay,
It's the Title 17 in that.
okay. All right. I guess we can take this up, let this, Mr. Gully?
So the 2 times per week, 3 times per week, 4 times per week, that rate has not changed? Okay, so those are rates we've already been charging, same rates. So is that per trash can? If a business has 5 trash cans, we'll pick, I agree with that, but is that $32 and we'll pick up all 5 of them 5 times a week? That's all I'm asking.
Business question.
Yeah. The problem I have with this, and of course, if it's what's already in place, it's kind of a moot point discussing it. But if you look at service 5 times a week, $32. You're talking about losing money. To me, that's a good reason you're losing money. Because if you take service 1 time a week at $21.50, take the extra 4 times a week times 4 weeks, and you divide that in the difference that you're collecting, you're picking up their trash for 65 cents.
That's where I was headed in this case.
So
And
if
asking-
anything is out of line, I don't know that it's not these multiple things. I think, yeah, certainly you could give a discount, but this is a tremendous discount. When you're going from $21.50 and for $5 more, you're getting an extra pickup, but you're still charging residential $19. You know, and when you take it all the way down to 5 times a week, common sense and math would indicate that $21.50 is $43 for 2 pickups, and a small, you know, small discount, maybe $40 instead of 43. And then if you carry that math up, 5 times $21.50, you know, that's a hell of a discount to get down to $32. You know, like I say, do the math. It's 65 cents per every time they go and pick it up on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th time that week. And we wonder why we're losing money. I'm not sure it's the dumpsters. It looks like it's these rates right here, but that's just my thinking. Mr. Ford, you're recognized.
What I'm seeing here is it says business customers, and I'll bet the one that's really considered here would be Core Civic. Now, we may have some other industries like Mueller Brass, I don't know.
Well,
I
you've got
can't see
business
us going
customers
there
in
for
town,
$5.
you've got restaurants that they pick up on, you've got store shops, Walgreens, whatever. I mean,
They
you do
only
have trash.
5 dumpsters a week, a month though.
It's not a dumpster.
Oh, these
That's
are
a trash can.
Well,
The
yeah,
dumpsters is the whole bottom line.
that's the next one, yeah, okay.
You have a
Core
business,
Civic, they have the roll-off dumpsters.
of course,
But,
Civic,
like,
yes.
Our own business, ourselves, we just have like 1 can, and they only pick up us every Monday, all down Broadway.
But if you wanted to pick it up every day, it wouldn't cost you but $9 more for a whole month.
I suppose.
I mean, if I were a business in town and I could get picked up once a week for $19, or I could get picked up 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month for $32, I know what I'd be spending. Now, maybe everybody doesn't look at it that way. I'm just saying that's the way I look at it. I don't know. I can't answer that. I'm not over solid waste. Mr. Gully.
Back to my original question. Is that for 1 can? Or could this be 5 trash cans? Because that's an amount of, we're talking about a different amount of waste, a different amount of cost. It costs us to take that to a landfill at some point in time. That's the only reason I'm asking.
Can't answer.
The verbiage is not clear. Not really, I'm not.
So we can have that answered before we take this up at a commission?
I mean, I guess we could go back and look at that ordinance 151, 2017, 16 that sets these rates and see if it's clear in that ordinance. Being as they weren't trying to really amend anything except the bottom line, the roll-off dumpsters part of this, I don't know why we have even mention of the other without more explanation or verbiage. If all we're amending is the roll-off dumpsters, looks like it would have been better presented as what's changing, not what's in effect.
Chairman Jewell, if I may.
Ma'am?
If I may.
Go.
In Title 17, the rates were not changed when the ordinance was passed, which is why it's being stated in this particular ordinance. And yes, the roll-off dumpsters were increased. As far as the rates, that will be taken up with Solid Waste Committee on the 10th of this month. I believe they are going to be discussing possibly contracting with Rebecca Caldwell and her services.
Mr. Jewell,
Yes.
I'll make a
Mr.
motion to send this back to solid waste till we get more information on what they're wanting to do.
on the subject.
That's what y'all want to do.
I would ask that if inside that we can get more clarification on what that is per business there in this case, as I've asked, are we talking about one per can? Is this a cost, or is this a cost per 5 cans or 10 cans? I want clarification there myself. That's why I want it clear.
I wished I could answer it, but I really can't. And I'm sure Amy can't. I would not want to speak for you, but that's not your department. That's not your purvey either. Beverly, do you have any input as to whether you have more than one can if you're billed for more than a single pickup, or?
I do not. I just know all we ever put out is that 1 can on Mondays, and that 1 can is what's picked up.
Okay.
Every Monday they come down Broadway. Now, like, I know across the street, City Hall has 2, so I don't know how that, I'll be honest. I don't know how
My
that works.
recollection in solid waste committee, the only thing that was really considered and was really talked about was trying to add this tonnage rate. That was what they were trying to do, was to find a way on the roll-off dumpsters to increase the fee. Now, also look, this is for a 2-week period on a roll-off dumpster. This is not for a month. These other rates were for a monthly rate. This was for a 2-week period, 14 days on a roll-off dumpster. So I think my understanding, Cliff felt like where we were losing, where we were bleeding, were on these dumpsters. That's why that was addressed. That was the attempt to address that, is what this is. I think the questions that we've had, we can get answers for them before the commission meeting, certainly, or have someone there to be able to answer them.
Difficult if you ask them.
Mr. Gully.
So if this goes to solid waste on the 10th, we could still have it before the regular commission at work session. Correct?
Yeah, I don't think we'd be out of line to ask them to clarify these things or to answer these questions for us. Yes, we do. Okay.
We just need a second. I'm sorry.
We have Mr. Horst, Mr. Ford, I believe, made the motion in the second. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Clarity did. Mr. Clarity made the motion to send this, or ask solid waste to try to answer some of these questions that we've had. Okay, any further discussion on this one? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I'll ask them to take a look at this and try to give us a little bit better understanding on it. I don't know whether, Amy, it needs to be revisited the way it's worded or not. It might be a little clearer. If you could work on that, I'd appreciate it. Do we have anything else that needs to come before the steering committee tonight that we've overlooked or that come out of committee that y'all know about that we need to take up? Okay. Seeing none, public comments, members of the public, anyone like to comment? I see a no and I see a no. Right. Would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Taylor makes a motion to adjourn. Mr. Noller gets a second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you for your time.